This is our first week in our place. We just settled down and we are pursuing greatness together.
I started out in high school being a total loser.
I was dead set on going to college.
When I was a sophomore in high school, I just didn't really think about the future at all.
I don't know, and it really is crazy now because it's like we can't even sleep at night without thinking about, like, where is this gonna take us?
Dong dong, testing 1 2 3. Okay, we'll just have these. Clip that on like your left shoulder and clip that on like your right shoulder.
Okay, this is our 10th week in this apartment trying to get rich ethically. We have not sat down and had a conversation like this since our very first day here. And so we have a list of things that we want to talk about, different questions that we're going to ask ourselves on our experience in these 10 weeks. And yeah.
All right, question number 1. When we first moved into this apartment, what did each of us think this journey would look like compared to how it's actually going?
Okay. I think a lot of the expectations were a lot higher than it actually turned out to be. I remember when we first talked about moving in, we were saying we were all going to get up at like 4 in the morning and work out together every single morning. And we'd like be no-lifing at the desks every single day and nothing else would be happening, blah, 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 blah. And then we realized that we're living in an apartment together and we have to pay rent, we have jobs, we have to do all these other things. So even though we've been getting a lot done, it hasn't been this like movie perfect cut production of like nonstop grinding that we imagined it to be from the beginning. There's things that kind of get in the way and we have to work around it.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's probably like the biggest one I would say. Other thing I would add to that would probably be how quickly we expected this place to turn into what we envisioned this apartment being at. Like I was thinking like from having nothing where we have come a long way. We had just fold out desks and chairs and now we all have our own desks, all have our own chairs. But I was expecting maybe like by this point to have like each room looking like what we want the finalized room to look like. And we're starting to realize with just different bills and putting money back into our business, there's a lot less money to be spent on just decking out the apartment in a way we like. So it still looks like we just moved in not that long ago, which it's only been 10 weeks. But yeah, that's probably something I would add.
For me, I would say that I thought it was going to be more like, I thought there would be like more sparks, like everything was going to be crazier, like a sale every week or Jackson Pass to funded this week or this. But it's actually been a lot harder than that. Since when we first moved into the apartment, I've only made like 2 or 3 sales. Noah's only made just one yesterday, and Jackson's still just been working on his craft. But it's a lot more of a slower process than I thought when we first moved in. So it's taking time, but maybe that's not such a bad thing. From what we remember from the very first vlog on our channel, what has differed 10 weeks later?
I can start this one out. I feel like the biggest difference is I'm a lot less afraid of the camera than I used to be. Like I remember when we first clicked record on our first video, we were sitting there very awkward and we're like, what do we say? Who talks? Like, what are we even doing? And now it's like, I record a lot of TikToks. I record a lot of just different content and we do a weekly recap every week. So now it's just, I press record and I just stay myself. And it's just like, I'm talking to the camera as though I'm just talking to a regular person. It's no longer like embarrassing or awkward for me to do.
Yeah, I would honestly say pretty much a similar thing. The first time I was on camera, I just kind of sat there and stuttered and didn't know what to say. I would say I'm not as confident maybe as Jackson on camera, but I've definitely gotten to more of a point where it feels more flowy to talk on camera like I'm talking to a normal person, and I don't stutter in my sentences as much. I would also say, like, compared to the first vlog compared to now, like dialing people on the phone. I mean, I'm still working on everything with talking to people, but I had a huge fear of even like calling people in the first place, and being scared of talking to people at all. And then it's kind of starting to become to the point where it's like, okay, well, these are just normal people, and I don't really have that fear anymore. Like the worst they can do is cuss me out, and I don't really care. Um, but that was something that was like a big hurdle for me to get over. And now I'm at the point where it's like I can just hit dial over and over again, and I don't have to like fight myself for 10 minutes to call people. So
What's changed for me personally has just been the drive for it all. I've been getting more hours, more dials, more sales, better at my sales skills. Just everything has increased. Nothing has gone down. I would say there has only maybe been like a week when my family came down where I wasn't increasingly getting better. I just kind of stayed the same, but I don't think I ever got worse. So I would say watching myself back from that first vlog, I would say just my drive for wanting to make money has only increased so much more than what it used to be back then. This one's gonna be about
it's good.
this one's gonna be about challenges. What's been the hardest part of this journey so far for you? I would say the hardest part for me has just been the pushing through the dials, because I went probably like 4.5 weeks without any sales. And then I made a sale, and then I went like another 2 weeks without a sale. And then I just made one yesterday. So I would say, I feel like most people in my position, making a couple sales and then moving out into an apartment and not making a sale for months would probably have started to doubt themselves. But every single day, my only thought process was one of these dials is going to make me $1,000. I never went into a dial day thinking I wasn't going to make a sale. So I would say the hardest part has just been pushing through, because obviously there were moments where I was like starting to doubt myself, saying, is my script wrong? Is my sales skills wrong? My mentors would be telling me every day, why aren't you making 10 grand a month? You sound great on the phone. So I feel like the hardest part has just been dealing with the no sale period. But I feel like now I'm starting to catch a little bit of momentum.
I'll go next. Yeah, mine's pretty much similar, but just applying to what I'm doing and pursuing. My biggest struggle was hitting the break-even stage in day trading, because when you're unprofitable in day trading, so you're constantly losing money, you have a lot of concepts that you need to refine. Like I hadn't learned everything there is to know about trading. I knew I still had to put a lot of time in, but there was still also a lot of concepts that I haven't learned. And so you almost give yourself like this mentality that once you learn the final concept, that's when it all switches. And it doesn't do that. So I got to the point where I learned everything there is to learn. There are no YouTube videos for me to look up for extra tips for the technical side of trading. It is just the hours I'm putting in, working on my own discipline and entering at the right times. And so it just sucks getting to the point where you thought was the turning point and then it not being the turning point. And now every time I lose a trade, whereas before it was, now I have to, okay, maybe once I learn this concept that this other person's using that I'm not, it'll send me over. Now it's just, I feel lost a lot. When I get to a losing trade, I'm like, why did I not win this trade? I did everything I was supposed to be doing and I still lost. And so that's something I'm trying to have to work through. I went through some times where I was like, oh, well, maybe this isn't cut out for me then if I'm not doing it, or if I haven't made it yet. And just a lot of just like mental battles with myself, wondering if it's real, if people can actually do it. But watch a lot of videos on different people in their break-even stage, and then talking about how close that is to profitability, and how it's also the time when most traders fail, which you would think it would be in the first week or the first month, but the most traders actually fail in the break-even stage because they put in so much time and then they don't see any results from it, and it scares a lot away. So I'm just going to keep going through. I feel like I'm right on the edge there, but that's definitely been my biggest struggle.
Mm-hmm. Can you read out the question again? It was just like, what's your biggest struggle since you've been here?
What's been the hardest part of this journey so far?
All right, so something I saw from Iman Gadzhi a while that I took a lot of inspiration from was when he went through his journey, he said it's important to highlight the ups and the downs of things. And I just want to be fully transparent on here. On week 7 or 8 in the apartment, my grandpa ended up passing away, and it was pretty tough for me. and it put me on a downward spiral, and I lost a lot of my momentum that I had going on before. And a really big lesson I've learned, and one of the best decisions I had made, was starting the 75 hard. Is what works for me personally and may not work for everyone else is having constant upwards momentum. So for me, whenever I'm doing things that are making me constantly productive, and I'm just doing like productive thing after productive thing, it makes it a lot easier for me to like come to my desk and get dials done and like do research on sales and be passionate about my craft. Because when my grandpa passed away, it was like, oh, I don't feel like dialing, and oh, I don't feel like going to the gym, and I don't feel like eating well. And I just ended up spiraling like kind of back down towards where I was at the beginning. Um, and I've started to build that upwards momentum again. And I've realized the most important thing for me is to keep that upwards momentum, to keep a really strong work ethic. So I think also another thing is like looking forward at the coming weeks in the apartment for me to keep this going of what I've got going on so far with my hours and my 75 hard and everything is, and I mentioned this in another clip that'll be in a weekly recap, is even when the 75 hard thing is over, besides like kind of changing the diet a bit because it's really strict, I'm still going to keep at pretty much all of these things because I've realized that I can fit it into my schedule very easily as long as I allocate the time appropriately for it. And by doing that, it makes it a lot easier for me to come to my desk and work for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day because it just feels like I'm getting another thing done. So I would say that's been my biggest struggle. Even before that happened, I was letting things slip and not getting or not putting out as much work as I should have. So that's kind of what I've learned in that period, and that's what I'm going to continue to do because it's working extremely well for me. So
This one's good. Each one of us shares one failure from the last 10 weeks that taught them the biggest lesson. We can start with Noah.
You can start with yours. Is pretty much.
if I just got to say the same thing.
Yeah. Just revisit.
Okay, well, I kind of just answered this, but yeah, my biggest failure, and I think everything happens for a reason, is my grandpa passing. It kind of really highlighted that I wasn't working anywhere near as hard as I should be. And the way I've kind of addressed that issue is I've realized that, again, having upwards momentum is the best worker for me. I've noticed like a lot of successful people, they say the same thing, that you have to constantly be doing things that are productive to keep yourself in check. Because I've heard there was a video I saw from a Navy SEAL in the military who talked about like when you wake up in the morning, make your bed every single day. And the reason he says to do that is because it gives your brain that dopamine spike of like, I accomplished something. Even though it may not seem like that important or that big of a deal, it gives your brain like that feeling of accomplishment, and it makes you want to go accomplish more and accomplish more and accomplish more. It's 100 times easier to go sit down and work on your business for 6 hours after you've hit like a good workout and you've also read 10 pages of a book and you've meditated or whatever it is you may do. If you've already gotten a couple tasks done through the day, you're just like, this is another productive thing to get done. So yeah, my biggest shortcoming in the apartment so far has definitely been me getting on a downward spiral with my grandpa and everything. So
One failure that taught me the most.
he's like, I really don't feel.
Yeah, there's just so few to pick from.
You talk about creatine. You felt that like every week.
Yeah, but they didn't fucking teach me anything. I would say my biggest failure was my time management. Was probably the biggest thing that I've had to work on, because I'm in a relationship, so I have a girlfriend, and I also work 40 hours a week at my job to pay the bills. So trying to split my time working with my time trading, with my time doing content creation, with my time with family and friends, with my time with my girlfriend was a real hard thing to dial in a way that left me feeling productive and also everyone else feeling like they were happy. So having my girlfriend feel like she was getting enough of my attention while I was also able to still get done what I had to get done was something that I'm still even constantly trying to refine and tweak almost by the week. Like almost every single week, I'm like, by looking at the weekly checklist board, I'm able to be like, okay, I didn't do as much as I was able to do a couple weeks ago. That's for this reason, and pull apart hours spent in different areas and try to dial in like a Sunday through Saturday, just set hours of like this hour I do this hour I do this hour I do this. It just helps with a lot of confusion of being like, oh, it's Thursday. Do I hang out with my girlfriend? Do I go do this? Do I go do this? I now have like certain days set up and certain hours within those days set up to do specific tasks. So what my struggle taught me is that, so people say when you're trying to make it that you're going to lose a lot of friends along the way. And I thought that was because you have to like just cut them off and be like, on like a Saturday, say, no, I have to study. I can't come hang out with you, or I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And like never seeing them in that regard. Like you're always just shutting them down because you want to study. And I've come to realize that it's not just like me intentionally saying, oh, no, I have to do this. No, I have to do this. It's that now that I have figured this out and have my set schedule, there's genuinely no time for anything outside of my schedule. Like, it's not me trying to be rude or me trying to be in lock-in mode. It's just there's not even enough hours in one day for what I want to do. So it's very hard to find little bits of time to hang out with friends. And I noticed very, very quickly how many relationships that cuts off very quickly.
I would say my biggest failure was something along the lines of that. Probably just having a consistent like waking up and sleeping schedule. I would say like some days I'll wake up at 6, some days I'll wake up at 8, some days I'll wake up at like 9 if I know I have work that day. But I would just say the one thing that taught me the most is that having a consistent schedule on when you're going to bed and when you're waking up is extremely important, because you don't want certain days you're very productive and you wake up at 7 and you're ready to go, and then other days you're sleeping until 9 o'clock and you're already late. So I would say that was the biggest failure that taught me the most. So. All right, next one. What's one moment from these last 10 weeks where you felt like this is working?
Oh, that's an easy one for me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just made my first sale yesterday, so mine was yesterday. I feel like a lot of the time that like I was in the apartment, I wasn't really dialing anyone. And the second I strapped down and really started taking it seriously and started asking a lot of questions, showing up to trainings, and part of it was definitely luck, but it felt amazing when like yesterday when I made that sale, knowing that, because like since I've gotten to the apartment, this is the first time I've made money online, period. It felt amazing knowing that I made $2,500 appear out of thin air just because I decided to sit down, study for my insurance license, get my insurance license, and then sit there and dial and talk to people, get hung up on over and over again. And I felt so giddy, feeling like this is one step closer to what I want to do to help people. And the only reason this happened is because I decided to sit down and dial and study and everything. And it gave me such like a giddy feeling, knowing that I did all that on the internet. So I would say that was like my moment for me. That lady also has 2 referrals, so maybe I'll experience that moment 2 more times today. But yeah, I would say that for sure is making my money for the first time in the apartment online.
I'll go next. I would say ever since I got veteran leads. So I'm not sure how familiar people are with life insurance or anything, but veterans kind of have their own type of coverage with the VA. It's not like actual life insurance because the VA isn't a life insurance company, so their coverage options they don't have that many, and it's very specific on how you get it. So a lot of veterans will save a lot of money with me just writing them a regular application with a regular company. But ever since I started Tuesday, I bought my first batch of veteran leads, not really knowing what I was doing. And then Wednesday, I didn't make a single dial. I spent the entire day studying for vets. Thursday, that's yesterday, that's when I made my first sale. And then I bought another batch of veteran leads after I had made that sale. And then the script just felt so comfortable. The way I was talking to vets, I sounded way more confident in what I was saying. And after I bought that second batch, I had scheduled 5 appointments for today after work. One from like 3:30 to 4, from 4:15 to 4:40, from 5 to 5:30, and then from like 6 to whatever. So I was just it was so much easier to talk to these people on the phone. So I would say a thing that has worked for me, and these are age leads too. The newest that these come in are 3 months old, and the latest they come in is half a year old. So they're all anywhere from 3 to 6 months old. And I was still able to get 6 appointments and 3 applications. One of them I got the sale, one of them got denied, and the other guy couldn't afford it. But that was still a lot for one day. So I would say that was my biggest moment where I learned that something was working.
Oh, yeah. All right, mine's a little bit weird because I would say my biggest "this is working" moment came immediately following after my biggest struggle moment, which was the break-even stage in my day trading. Because obviously I explained for all the reasons why it frustrated me, but in the midst of trying to find ways to remotivate myself and remake myself think that this could actually work, I started looking at statistics and how many people reach break-even status, and I found out that only, I think it was 10 or 15, only 10 or 15% of people that ever try pursuing day trading make it to the break-even stage. So I went from being in the 100% from nowhere to now cutting out 75% of people that have ever tried day trading. I'm in the final 15%. And to be a profitable day trader now is, I believe, 5 to 10%. So I only have 5 to 10% more to go before I cross the threshold. So I've already went 75% and I only have 10 to 5% more. That helped me a lot to be like, oh my, well, this is actually working. I've achieved a lot more than right now I think I achieved, because I haven't got money yet, but I'm definitely making progress. That was my biggest moment for sure.
85.
All right, these.
What?
Okay. Each one of us give a shout out to the other two for one thing they've improved on. I'll go first just because I was thinking about it while you guys were talking. I'll say for Jackson, I feel like one thing he's improved on is definitely his time management. He's definitely here a lot more than he used to be, even though he works 40 hours a week and his girlfriend and all of that. So I'd say he's definitely improved on being here studying, even if he has to stay up till midnight or 1 a.m. And then with Noah, I'll just say like his personal health, I would say his diet and working out, he's definitely improved on that. Instead of, just staying home, he's definitely gone to the gym every day consistently. And even if he has work, he'll come home late and like go for a run or something if he has to. So that's what I would say.
Wait, this is improvements or things that they just do good?
Things they've improved on.
Okay. I'll go next. I would say for Noah's biggest improvement is his honesty, not just with us, but with himself and the way he's managing his time. Because he used to do things where he would like sit in the back and listen for, I think, like an hour or something, like some audiobooks or something about just like wealth in general. And I think deep down, although it from the outside eye looks like it's impressive, I think he knew that wasn't really getting him any closer to being rich. It just looked flashy. And there was a lot of things he was doing that looked like movie screen perfect, but he knew deep down wasn't going to get him any closer to being rich. And he's cut a lot of that out to where now he only focuses on the main things that he know are going to get him closer to that. I would say that would be his biggest improvement. Eddie's biggest improvement is a little bit difficult, honestly, because Eddie went into this already having that dog in him, and so he's kind of just maintained that same.
Eddie's just been the hardest worker the whole time.
that same energy, but yeah, that's genuinely a hard one. I would say his biggest improvement would probably be just his health, food wise and stuff. As far as like when we were first in here, a lot of it was because we didn't have a lot of money. He was eating a lot of cup of noodles and a lot of just like high sodium, really shitty foods that you could just put in the microwave and like get out 30 seconds later. But now I'll go in and I'll see him like with his girlfriend cooking big batches of ground beef to meal prep for the week, which also gives him more time now because he doesn't have to prep every single day for food. And just like looking in the fridge and seeing different containers of him, like, even though he's not eating large quantities, still eating good quality food. That's probably the biggest improvement I've seen from him.
All right, so I'll start with Jackson. I would say the biggest thing with Jackson is definitely spent his time management. Like you said before, with his girlfriend and everything. I think he didn't realize how much time it was taking away from him doing his trading and everything and being at the apartment. And he's done really good about kind of putting his foot down on that. And essentially putting his trading first before anything. And it's gotten his hours up every week, and it's been like really good since then with how consistent he's been here with like uploading videos, recording content, doing his trading stuff, studying the markets. Like I see him at his desk whenever he's not working with his girlfriend, he's sitting at his desk doing his work there. And then with Eddie, I would say that's also really hard for me because Eddie has been the hardest worker here since we've gotten here. He's pretty much had the most hours every single week. He hasn't really had anything big that he's worked on or anything. He's just been very consistent. I guess I would say kind of the same thing that he said is like waking up early in the morning has been his biggest improvement that I've seen. Is he very consistently gets up at the same time to start his work early, which is probably the biggest reason he has such a good lead is he gets up super early in the morning very consistently and starts knocking out those hours very early. So
what advice would we give to someone watching who's on week 1 of their own journey?
Oh, I actually want to start this. I would say the biggest thing that you should keep in mind is that it's always best to just start. And you're not going to have everything figured out when you start. A lot of people, I feel like, wait until, okay, I have a good mic setup. I have this good setup. I have everything on the back end figured out. And then I start recording, which pushes back way further than it needs to. Because no matter how prepared you think you are, you're going to go into it and there's going to be a million, oh shits, we need to do this too. So it's best to just put your phone up, click record, and just start. It's going to be terrible. But as long as you're comfortable with that and you just learn as you go each day, get a little bit better, it's best to start as early as possible. That's probably the biggest thing that I wish. Because now that we're recording this, I wish we started this way sooner than we did before we even moved in here. When I very first started trying to get rich was like a year prior to this. So that's probably the biggest thing I would say.
all right, I can go next. I would say the biggest thing I would tell anyone on here is the thing I talked about before has been my biggest lesson here is keeping upwards momentum in the sense of like when you start working on this, try to like be as productive as possible, not in a sense of you're going to burn yourself out, but don't let yourself get complacent. And if you are getting complacent, catch yourself on it because people are always human at the end of the day and they're going to slip up on certain things or like miss a certain day of consistency with other things. But a very important thing is, especially if you're on your own, is to keep yourself in check and keep yourself accountable for everything that you do. And I would say as you go through like each day of the first week, first coming weeks is always look back and check on yourself and see like, am I doing good so far? What can I work on, et cetera, like self-reflection. In a sense of like, don't be like, oh, well, I can go play this game or watch a show for an hour and it's fine because nobody can see me doing it. Or if you're living with people, still like at the same time, be like, I really shouldn't be doing this because this is wasting time. Obviously not everyone's going to be like a robot and people have things come up, but I would say that would be a really big important thing is try to keep upwards momentum at any cost.
And for me, I would say 2 things. One, I would say give yourself more credit than you're probably giving yourself because if you're already a week into this, and even if you just started at all, you're already in the top like 10% of people your age if you're like us starting at your age. Because I would say out of everyone I went to high school with, maybe me and maybe one other person maybe is doing this. That's it. I think I've seen like one other person that's tried to do business maybe and probably gave up. So I'd say if you're on week 1 of your own journey, you're already in like the top 10%. So you should give yourself some credit there. And the next piece of advice I would give is no matter what you go through, if you don't give up, you're gonna make money. Like no matter what. Like I feel like the best way to make money is just no matter what you go through is just to not give up. Because with me, if I would have given up a month into my drought of no sales, then I wouldn't have made my next sale. If he gave up 10 weeks from the apartment without a sale, he wouldn't have made his $2,000 sale. Him, I mean, he hasn't passed his funded yet, but if he gives up, he's guaranteeing he won't pass it. If he doesn't give up, there's a chance he's going to pass it. So it's like, just don't ever give up because you're just guaranteeing failure for yourself if you give up.
Yeah. A good statistic to roll off of that is 1% of people that try to get rich actually end up getting rich, which is very demotivating. But I think it's 85% of people, 85 to 90% of people that never give up trying to get rich. So if you never give up, you go from being 1% to almost 90% chance of success.
We're going to do 2 more questions. They got to be quick now.
Do the conclusion ones. I like those.
What does the next 10 weeks look like for each of you? What do we want to accomplish before we hit 20 weeks?
All right, you go first.
For me, the next 10 weeks, what will that be? Like 2 months and 2 weeks. So near the end of October, early November.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that'll be near the end of the year. And my goal, my New Year's resolution at the beginning of 2025 was to just make $10,000 online in total, not even in a month, just in total. And so far I've made, I think, profit to 2,100 profit. I mean, I've spent all of it on leads, but I still made it. So I would say I'm like $2,000 the way there. So I would say the next 10 weeks, I think a big thing for me, and my mentor told me, I just want to like stop focusing on the numbers, and I want to just rip as many policies as I can. Because at the end, if I just rip 10, 20 policies before the year is over, or before the next 10 weeks is over, I'm going to look back at my bank account and it's going to reflect. I don't need to be tracking my numbers and being like, okay, this policy made me 800. If I just make that much more and then I add that to that and I spend this much on leads, it's like, if I make money, I'm going to spend it on leads and I'm going to keep dialing and writing policies. So I think the biggest thing I want to focus on for the next 10 weeks is just like shutting my mouth, shutting my ears, just straight focusing on hard work and writing policies, and then just getting better every day. I feel like I want to completely cut out anything that's like draining me from making more money, because, you know, I feel like I'm starting to catch a bit of momentum, because I used to go like a month and a half without making a sale. And with my 2 most recent sales, it was like a 2-week gap. So I would say I'm starting to close the gap a little bit. I just want to really focus on ripping policies these next 10 weeks.
Mine's pretty simple for me. I just really want to cross the threshold from break even to profitable trader. And I think I'm super close to that. And I think in the next 10 weeks, that's not too crazy ambitious of a goal to set. I think that I could reach that by the end of October. So yeah, that's pretty much simply what I want to achieve.
Yeah, and then for mine, I would say finish my 75 hard, but in the next 10 weeks, be completed with that. And then as well as be staying consistent as I am with my dialing, more importantly than anything, and focusing on the business before anything else. Keeping my time allotted in a way where nothing's overlapping and I'm getting everything done every day and staying productive. Yeah, I would say that's kind of been my biggest struggle in the past. So moving forward, I think the number one thing is just staying consistent every single day with putting in a lot of dials and a lot of hours and studying videos and putting the business as my number one priority.
Why should people keep following along this journey? Okay. Why should people keep following along this journey? Because I want you to. Because I want to sell all of you a course one day. In all seriousness, I would say, why should someone keep following my journey? I would say you don't have to keep following my journey, but if you have the same ambitions as me, you're watching somebody go from $1,400 a month to eventually be $10K a month, who lives in a small town on the west coast of Florida. Like, I don't live anywhere special. I'm not any special guy. I just graduated high school. I feel like you should keep following along, because that, if I can do it, you can do it too. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if you're not into business, I don't know why the fuck you're even watching this in the first place. But
why are you here?
If you are into business and you want to make a lot of money, why wouldn't you keep following along? I mean, we're in the same position as you, and we're not even rich yet trying to tell you that you can do it too. We're broke telling you that you can do what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So that's why you should keep following along.
Yeah, to piggyback off of Eddie, I would say pretty much, yeah, the biggest reason why you should follow is because it shows that it is possible. There's a lot of people pop up with the Lamborghini out of nowhere. They come up in the space and they already have everything that they want to sell you. They already have the lifestyle you want. And it leaves a lot of confusion on like, okay, but how did they actually get that? Was it mommy's money, daddy's money? Did they win big on one big crypto pump? Like, how did they get that? And this is the only place I'm aware of where you could go and actually see how they got it. There's no questioning if we got daddy's money or not, because if we did, I mean, look at all of our weekly recaps. We wouldn't be living how we're living. We wouldn't be suppressing this for this long just to come out with a bunch of money at one point.
Screwdriver sandwich.
So, as far as I'm concerned, we are the most honest people in the space that are recording anything. We're not trying to force you to buy anything from us. We haven't asked anyone to buy anything from us. We give free content on our Instagram accounts, on our TikTok accounts, on our YouTube account. I have my own YouTube account, all completely free, all just to document. So that's the biggest thing I would say.
For real.
Yeah, and I would say another thing to add on to that is we're doing this ethically. And I feel like a lot of people online that you're learning to get rich from that make content online are either doing something on the back end to make a bunch of money, whether it's selling a course, selling a service, whatever it may be. And they kind of paint this picture of, oh, this is how I'm making all my money. I'm so hardworking. I'm so productive, yada, yada, yada. But the main source of their income is somewhere else, and they hide that, and they use the more ethical looking way to make money as the forefront of their brand. And something that'll be really cool for you guys to see is once we become successful with everything, you can look back and watch our entire journey from the beginning all the way to the end. And we've had a few offers come up before from some really nasty people that have asked us to do some crazy shit where we're basically selling our souls away for a bunch of money and a bunch of opportunity in return. And we've said no, because we believe that you should do good in the world. You should put out good in the world. And if you're going to make money online, you should do it the right way. It's not worth screwing other people over and stabbing them in the back over it. So not only is it inspiring to see our journey and see that anyone can do this, it's inspiring to see that I feel like a lot of the journeys that have been documented, the few that have been documented out there, don't really go over like being a good human being and not stabbing people in the back, and seeing that literally anybody can become rich and successful doing it the right way and finding a right way to do things, instead of just like becoming rich any way you can. Because I feel like especially in Hollywood and like all these movies, they always paint the super rich guy as this evil corporate douchebag who like stabs everyone in the back.
It's gonna be me.
And will do anything to climb up the ladder.
Yeah, it's gonna be us, bro. We're the only one that's
Okay. Do anything to climb up the ladder, and it'll be cool to see us, like from our perspective, being young, becoming so monumentally successful together, and seeing that we didn't have to do any of that. And there's proven footage of that through our whole journey online. So
Yep. All right, that segues into the last one, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, this is the last one. I'm going to reword it a little bit because I think it would be more interesting. I have like 4 minutes, so we got to make it quick. By the end of this apartment, if someone were to binge watch our entire YouTube channel with all of our weekly recaps, what's the number one thing they would learn about us individually?
I would say the number one thing that they would learn about us is that.
We'll talk about you individually. Like, what would they learn about you?
Yeah.
What would they learn about me? Okay. I would say the number one thing they would learn about me is that I am human. And although that's pretty obvious, I mean that in the sense of a lot of people that are gurus out there try to push themselves as this bigger than life person that you need to be bare minimum if you want to achieve success. I'm a regular guy. I go to the beach every now and then. I hang out with my girlfriend. I enjoy my weekends, enjoy going to the movies. I live my life young. And a lot of people think, I don't want to get rich because I don't want to have to throw my youth away. You don't. I still am very happy with what I'm able to accomplish. And I also get very high numbers studying. And so you can see you can maintain who you are. I'm a very goofy guy. You will see that I will continue to be a goofy guy. I won't get swallowed by the black hole that is entrepreneurship. I'm still going to stay myself and just grow from there financially. But you're going to see, I guarantee you, I'm not going to change the person I am. I'm still going to be me.
all right. I would say one thing you learn about me is kind of like how Jackson said, I'm human and I fuck up. And I think something that you'll learn that's very important is, above anything else, you should be transparent about it. Whether it's on a video or to your family or people you're close with, the most valuable thing you can do when you fuck up is to be honest to yourself and to people around you about it, because it's the only way you're going to grow and become better from it. If you sit there and lie to yourself that you're doing this, this, and this when you know in your head you're really not, all you're doing, just like in the gym, is cheating yourself. So I would say I've learned a lot in these last couple of weeks living with these two, because they've taught me a lot about honesty, and it's helped me grow so much, because I feel like if I was living on my own, there'd be so many moments where I'd be complacent and be like, oh, it's okay to screw up and do this or whatever, yada, yada, yada. And I wouldn't get anywhere near as far as I need to become as successful as I want to be. So yeah, like I said, I would say I'm going to be very transparent through this whole thing, and transparency can be very important.
That's lame. I would say one thing people would learn about me, probably my biggest thing is that I don't really care about impressing anybody, and I don't really give a shit if people believe in our journey or not. I feel like if you're watching this and you're like, oh, these guys are just being stupid, or even if we do get rich and you guys think there was some other way we did it, I really don't care because I know that's not true. I would say the biggest thing you would learn from me is just obsession over anything. I would say my biggest goal at the end of the day is making so much money so I can take care of my family. I don't really care what people think. If you want to follow my journey and support me, and let's say eventually I own a business and you end up working with me and you support me, cool, I'll support you back and I'll help you. But if you're like a person that's going to hate on me in the future, I really just don't care. I would say I'm just so obsessed with making this wealth and protecting my family and, just starting a family and living a more than comfortable life. So I don't really care about adversity. I don't really care about anything that people have to say. So yeah, I would just say obsession over anything is what people would learn from me.
Please give us hate comments. It boosts our algorithm.
Yes.
Please give us free clout. Please. Please.